Welcome, everybody. June 12th, where we're doing a special presentation of A Bridge to the 12th Dimension. I'm grandmother Jonette, and I've been channeling a disembodied, never physical being called Mark, of all names, since 1989. And we've had 34 years of working together. And he's been taking us through these dimensions. And I'm going to use this opportunity to kind of get you up to speed. What are dimensions? Why do you care? What are the first 11 dimensions? What's the 12th dimension? And what's opening up for us now? So our weekly channeling of the 12th dimension will start on June 26th. And we do it every Monday. And I've done things every Monday for basically 33 years. And it's now time to build a bigger group. In the beginning, when we were taking baby steps in expanding and exploring consciousness, and it was good that the groups were small. And as we've grown, Mark has periodically said, all right, we need a bigger foundation. We need more people to create this field. Well, as we move into the 12th dimension, which is called transcendence, it's also a dimension of completion. Mark said we need a bigger field. So the purpose of this today, the purpose of releasing our Dancing Through Dimensions video series to take you all through the dimensions is so if you're a curious spiritual explorer, no experience necessary, we want you to join this exploration, to create this field of transcendence that we're all stepping into. So my goal today is can talk a little bit about what's happening now. What are the dimensions? Why do you care? The background to the 11 dimensions so far that I've been exploring with Mark over the past 30 years. Then want to do a transmission of energies, a transmission of a field to bring you to this level. And we'll end with an invitation to join us. So what's happening now? Because of everything that's been happening since really 2012, the Mayan shift to the ages, we are really beyond prophecies. And I found something that Mark had channeled about that. So it's no longer that we're on linear timelines anymore. We are crossing timelines. We're creating new timelines. We're jumping from a timeline that might have gone like this to new possibilities. So this is what Mark said a number of years ago. More than ever before, the future is unwritten. The prophecies from the old times do not hold true now. They were true when the prophecies were formed because time was still linear then. Although most people still experience linear time, it begins to break down when there is a critical mass of people, you, ordinary people, who span dimensions. There have always been mystics and masters who've held the spaces for these high dimensions, but until now, the dimensions were uninhabited by ordinary mortals. You can create a tremendous change on the planet because you are living ordinary lives, and yet you span the immortal, infinite dimensions. You open the doors and keep them open. So these are really exciting times. So we're creating a field of transcendence. Mark has called the 12th dimension the dimension of transcendence. I experience it as really the physicalization of spirituality. We've been going out of our bodies to find those spiritual places, and that was appropriate because there was such a gap between the frequency of our body and the frequency of these spaces we were exploring. But now we've explored these high frequencies, and now we're bridging them into our body more and more. And we're really experiencing the physicalization of spirituality, which means incredible healing. It means incredible co-creation. It means miracles beyond our scope to even imagine. So, we often say when we're ascending up a set of stairs or ascending up a ladder that we're on the next rung of the ladder. Well, we're on a different ladder. So all what came before is not so important. We're really kind of at the end of the cycles of karma, creating a whole new creation, new timelines. And I was just in Bali on a spiritual mission to work with the energies of the Ring of Fire, the energies of creation, right? Volcanoes, destruction, creation, all the same thing. And the two major earth ley lines, the masculine dragon line and the feminine dragon line, cross at the Mother Temple in Bali. And I thought our job was to help those ley lines not just cross, but merge and coalesce. And that did happen. But this morning, in an amazing physical meditation that I'll talk about later, and it'll be part of my transmission, I heard the voice of Ashtatara, an Atlantean goddess who, when she awakened, I heard her say, the dragons are released. I've been guarded by dragons for thousands of years. They are now released, and the gates to my world are open. And I heard those words this morning. So maybe in Bali, we didn't just help the dragon lines merge. Maybe we released the dragons, so the gates to the other worlds are now open. So sorry about my papers. So what are the dimensions? They're steps. They're stepping stones or energetic building blocks from where we live in the 3D up to where we are opening in the 12th D. And so you might think of them as upgrades. So we get this upgrade and we let it seep in, we get used to it, then we're ready for another upgrade and another energetic upgrade. So these dimensions are not what mathematicians or scientists would say. They are experiential explorers dimensions. They're what we can feel, what we can make solid, what we can go on. And once we've opened the 11th, the 12th dimension, others can just easily move up there. In fact, they don't even have to take the steps. They can take the elevator and just land where we are. So that's why a bigger field is needed to be where we are. So it's like when we work with these dimensions with Mark, we're the explorers of consciousness. And once we get the land explored, then the settlers come in, and then civilization comes in. So we are the early ones who are, again, using Mark's words, ordinary mortals who are preparing the way for vast ascension of humanity. As these dimensions go up, they're more complex, their scope increases, the possibilities increase, we leave linear 3D behind. So I really invite you to watch at least the intro of the Dancing Through Dimensions video that I've released, but watch the whole thing, because I've gone through all the dimensions and given you experiences of them, which I'm not going to do today. I'm going to go through them very quickly, but I'm not going to give you more depth and more experiences. This is enough for you as a newcomer to join us in the 12th dimension. You don't need more than this. We've done a really good job making the steps easy for you to climb. So the list of dimensions, go ahead, Bree, and put that graphic up here. Okay, so we're starting where we are, the physical 3D dimension, and we don't need to explain that. And again, this isn't what your scientist would say. This is 33 years of channeling Mark, how he has laid it out for spiritual explorers. So the fourth dimension, and each dimension carries all the energy of those below plus more. So they get bigger and bigger. So the fourth dimension, according to Mark, is waves and energy. So that's why energy healing or sound healing is sometimes more helpful than pure physical healing because it's at a higher dimension. It has more energy. So above the 3D, waves, energies, frequencies. And we're all pretty used to understanding that. But the fifth dimension, and I'm stacking them this way rather than looking at them at the how the chart is, because each dimension's higher. The fifth dimension is based on geometries, like sacred geometries, codes, algorithms. So the geometric world actually is the world that guides the frequencies, the waves, the patterns. So our sacred geometry, again, codes, our DNA, codes in our DNA is what is the basis of the waves and frequency, and then the physical matter for us. So the next highest governing level is fifth dimension, geometry and symbols. Then the sixth dimension is, Mark called it magnetic. So when we got to the sixth dimension, we're not so much working on force like gravity. We're working really with like the power of magnetism. You know, to hold two magnets together, it doesn't require any energy at all. It's just the way it is. So the sixth dimension, Mark is called unity consciousness. It's magnetic, it's higher, more profound, again, has more energy in it, more possibilities in it than each of the lower dimensions. So as we get to these higher dimensions, it's much easier to heal and to change the dimensions below us. So the magnetic dimension is no effort. It's a state of being rather than doing. So it turns everything that we were until the sixth dimension on its head. You're like, oh my gosh, I just be, and the changes happen. We've also called the sixth dimension the miracles space. That's where things are unprecedented. They don't need a buildup. They just happen. So each of these dimensions of Mark, we might have worked in them 3 or 4 years of every Monday night meetings. So what I'm going through with you quickly is more than 30 years of very dedicated work by people some of them have been doing this forever. And that's what's built the field, that you don't have to dissect each of these. You can just jump in now. So the seventh dimension includes all the others. Mark called it holographic. So all of a sudden, we're taken out of the linear world. And once you experience yourself as holographic, it's mind-blowing. You're no longer a singular identity. Everything else is no longer singular. You are fractals around the universe. And so the universe takes on a very different quality and knowingness than it did when we saw ourselves as sixth dimension and below. So in the holographic dimension, we experienced having all perspectives beyond space-time. We had to give up our locality, our identification, to be much more cosmic. And in the seventh dimension, because it's holographic, you begin to realize that intelligence isn't from a big bang or a single source. It's embedded in every particle of the universe. So again, we worked for years in that dimension. And the holographic dimension, the seventh dimension, pretty much disrupted everything we thought we knew before. And to say another thing about the dimensions, they're nested. So they come in groups of three. So the first 3D dimensions are fairly similar. 4, 5, and 6 have this kind of non-physical aspect to them. 7, 8, and 9 are very different. 10, 11, and 12. So the seventh dimension, holographic. The eighth dimension that I just looked at my notes, we worked in it for 5 years, is quantum consciousness. So no longer are we just holographic fractals everywhere. There's that whole idea of the quantum, which it only exists when there's a perceiver. So the quantum world doesn't even exist most of the time until there's a perception, and then it exists there. So this was truly mind-blowing. And we spent, again, like I said, 5 years. One of the most important aspects I remember of the quantum dimension, the eighth dimension, was going into the quantum void, where there was nothing and nothing below nothing. And Mark would keep us kind of waiting at that door of the quantum void until there was almost this propulsion and you couldn't stay there anymore, and you were expelled or exploded into the quantum reality of everything is possible. So again, Mark taught us normal people how to hold these dimensions, how to navigate, how to understand them, how to reprogram our bodies and the neurons of our mind to at least perceive these higher dimensions, because we're going to stay in 3D if we keep our perceptional receptors closed down the way just to black and white and up and down and male and female. So it's been a training. You can't just learn the information intellectually. Mark had to wait until enough of us had gained enough mastery that we actually held these dimensions. And I say this because when you join us on the 12th, you'll jump right in. This work was done. And because you're entrained to the field of the Mark work, there's a resonant field, you'll be pre-initiated to all these levels without having done all that homework. If we had to wait for everyone to learn everything from the beginning of the Dead Sea Scrolls or the beginning of whatever, we'll never make it to where we need to be, which is an incredible planet of opening, of love, of creation. And that's what we're going for. So the ninth dimension, after we spent 5 years in the eighth dimension, the ninth dimension takes that quantum a little further. And we understand in quantum physics that there's actually multiple realities, and they all exist at the same time. And, we have the experience that all those realities collapse when we look at one, but they don't really collapse. They collapse for us. But there's a physics, kind of a new physics theory called the many worlds theory that says, all possible realities actually have an existence. So that was, again, mind blasting. And we did all this without drugs, mind blasting, the ninth dimension, infinite simultaneous realities. And he spent a lot of time getting us to the 0 point, kind of this stillness, because the most important part when you move into the ninth dimension of multiple simultaneous realities is balance. So Mark worked so hard on balance. In fact, a metaphor he used once, at the beginning of his class, he said, I want you to be so balanced that you could balance a freight train on the whisker of a kitten. So those of us who've done Mark are holding these frequencies, these possibilities, so that, again, you don't have to learn them sliced like we did. You don't have to go up those stairs. So then, not too many years ago, we started the 10th dimension. And the 10th dimension was another game changer. It was relativity. So we had been so focused on this lifetime or that possibility, or choosing the highest possibility, and we have all these possibilities. We have all these timelines. We have all these potentials. But Mark said, don't focus on those potentials. What's important in the cosmos is not those manifestations. It's the space between. So the space between is the relationship between all things and all things. And that's the 10th dimension. So, and our video, Dancing Through Dimensions, which please, please, please watch and share it with your friends, takes us through the 10th dimension. The 11th dimension, we just finished 2 months ago, and it's kind of a different take. It's called the Shambhala consciousness. So we can take this graphic off now. So Shambhala consciousness is what's a little different than the previous 10 dimensions. It's now where we are taking what we've learned in all these multiple realities and relativity, and we're saying, okay, we're on Earth, and there's a whole realm of possibility in these higher realms. And Shambhala consciousness is the gateway, 11th dimension. They're always gateways. It's a gateway between our world and the higher dimensions that have been populated by the mystics and the masters and the gods and goddesses. So there's now an intersection, because we've gone up these stairs, we've prepared ourselves. There's an intersection now between the unmanifest world of magic and miracles and alchemy and our world. And it's more of a physical connection now, because in most of these early Mark dimensions, we sat in our chair and our spirit did the exploring. But now that's shifting. Our spirit has explored a lot, and now it's bringing it into our body. So Shambhala consciousness was holding the consciousness of all this unmanifest potential that we've been exploring for 3 decades. So we've just finished the Shambhala consciousness, and Mark said, all right, and I never know if we were in Shambhala consciousness for 3 years. Sometimes we do things in 5 years. It's when the world is ready. Well, the world is ready for us to move to the 12th dimension, and that is transcendence or completion. So I don't know much about the 12th dimension, because we mortals haven't been there yet. But let's talk about the significance of 12. 12 hours to the day, hours to the night, 12 months of the year, 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 doors to the Temple of Jerusalem, 12 tribes. And just to add something interesting, when I was in Bali, we were asking Mark about what's the significance of 12. And he started on something very different than I expected. In fact, I don't even think I was channeling Mark. I think she came in and said she was a star mother, or she represented the star mothers. And she talked about 12 tribes that initially inhabited the earth. And so I'm going off a little bit, but I thought this was fascinating, so I'm going to share it. But they said that the earth was originally populated by 12 tribes, and I can only imagine it was from 12 different star systems. And that two of those tribes left the earth, and two of the tribes eventually evolved to their civilizations in kind of a more etheric plane in the inner earth. So they became less physical. So of course, the question we asked is, the two tribes that left, where'd they go? And the star mother said one went to Venus and one went to Mars. So that's curious information. Don't know what to do with it. But so there were 12 tribes who originally came to Earth. There's an ancient legend of the sun disks. And when I was writing The Eagle and the Condor, I was doing a lot of research into the ancient Inca prophecies of the sun disk of the Incas. And it turns out that there were sun disks in the prophecies in Tibet and evidently in Bali as well. So the story of the sun disks is that there are 12 disks that originally were brought to Earth, and they're like cosmic supercomputer CD disks that hold energy, power, probably connection to the star ancestors. And that these disks had so much power, and we kind of went through a fall, that these disks were hidden in the higher dimensions until humanity was ready to reactivate them and bring them together. So there was a story that once humanity reaches a certain point, those 12 sun disks become activated. And when they are all activated, it's like there's an explosion of light and the 12 become one. So the 13th is not just another sun disk. The 13th is the amalgamation of everything that's come before. It's the 13th, this great explosion of light is how I see it. And so we are really entering into the 12th dimension, which is a completion cycle for Earth, for what comes next, this explosion where humanity moves into a very different realm of existence. Completions are messy, right? A picture I see is like a snow plow plowing up all this black, dirty snow, and it's pushing it, and it's a nice road behind it, but it's all these big piles of stuff that still need to be handled. So as we move onto this escalator of completion, things will move quickly, and you're already seeing it. But on the difficult end, things move quickly. But on a positive end, I was just thinking about the idea of completion and thinking about how much I get done the 2 days before I go on vacation. I get all these things done that I haven't done for 3 months. So it's also a time where we get a lot done. We are wrapping up lifetimes and lifetimes of karma to be ready for this shift. And the shift is, it's like the 12th step is the last step. So we have been ascending, we talk about the ascension. So we ascend up the steps of the dimensions. But after you get to the 12th, you transcend. There's no more ascending needed. You just transcend all of it and are in this different space. So this time of completion is also a time, and another metaphor is birth. Like we've been preparing for birth. We've been doing all the steps of the 9 months. We're going to say that the first 11 dimensions. And now when birth is ready, the baby's not in control of it. The mother's not in control of it. Her body, something much higher than her, is in control of it. And this whole amazing thing happens. So it's like we are in the beginning of birth. There's some contractions. There's some pain, probably. There's some compression. There's some unknown and completion. But at the end of it, is a rebirth. That's what we're building now. We are completing the cycles of karma, completing so much so that at the end of this completion, there is a rebirth on earth where, again, it's beyond prophecies. We don't know. So that's a quick summary of many years of work. Oh, I wanted to show you. I brought this down. Sun discs. So many cultures, the Incas, the Tibetans, have a culture of sun discs. So this particular sun disc was found in a monastery, a female monastery, a nun monastery in Tibet. And it was in the showcase. And I had been looking for any indication that the Tibetans remember the ancient pre-Atlantean Lemurian stories of sun discs. And evidently they do. This sun disc is used for healing, of course, right? But you can't really see it. But if you look really carefully, and I only just saw it, around this sun disc are 3 engraved, you can't see it, but there's 3 little circles here, 3 little circles here, 3 little circles here, 3 little circles here, right? 12 little circles. So it's also like the first 12 dimensions. They are nested in groups of 3. So the first 3 dimensions, the next, the next, the next, and the last 3 dimensions. And those little circles make up ultimately this oneness, this explosion, this sun disk. So what I'm going to do now is a bit of a transmission. And I want to share, I've asked I've put out for everyone to be doing this month a 21-day soul body fusion challenge. And soul body fusion, if you don't know what it is, you can get the book, but you can just look on my YouTube channel. I've got some transmissions of soul body fusion. And I'm asking people, and you can start now. If this is your first time seeing me, find Soul Body Fusion, follow the transmissions on YouTube. It's really about bringing our higher frequencies that we've been honing into our physicality, because it's all really wonderful that we can have these wonderful journeys. But that's not the point. The point is we are here to bring that realm into body to recreate a new world on earth. That's why we were born now. So the soul body fusion helps you open that channel so you can bring easily these higher dimensions into your body. So I've been doing the soul body fusion transmission, and we said for the first 7 days of the 21-day challenge, focus on releasing, letting go. The second 7 days is a still point where you don't try to do anything. You just are still. And then the last 7 days until the solstice, right? We started this on June 1st. So we'll all be finished with our 21-day challenge on June 21st, the solstice. The last 7 days is for kind of intending the future. So I've been very diligent. I've been doing 20, 30, 40 minutes of soul body fusion every day on myself. And this morning, it was epic, really. A few days ago, I felt that this bright white light that was magnetic was permanently inhabiting me. And after the day wears on, I don't feel it so much, but I know it's there. It's just I open different receptors and I'm not so focused on the spiritual. But this bright white light was really around me in a physical way. So today, doing my soul body fusion with no intention, just stillness. I don't even know how, this very real field, it wasn't just a bright white light, it was a very physical remake of me happened. I had like a hot flash of all hot flashes. I laid there and felt like my body was being, reborn. something huge was transmitted to and becoming every cell. and I'm only on what, day 12 of this. So I want to transmit some of what that space is, because we really are moving not to having two worlds, a earthly world, a physical world, and a higher world, but to infuse that higher world here so we can absolutely evolve earth, humanity, karma into all those things that we came here to give birth to. So I'd like you to sit with your hands open to receive. This isn't a soul body fusion. It's really, I'm asking the guides, I'm asking Mark to make this a transmission of whatever that field is that I'm beginning to feel, which is really the physicalization of enlightenment. So open yourself to receive. And you'll just join the field of this space. And it is our intention that with all of us joining, it becomes strong and takes a life of its own, transcendence. Relax your body and really relax your mind. Your spirit can find this field. And let these energies of transcendence not be another meditation, but really a transformation of each of us physically. As more of you just relax into this, the field gets stronger. We're holding the space for the quantum holographic transcendent physicalization of spirit in the higher dimensions into our body, into our world, our life. Usually you find this space anchored in your heart, so do pay attention to your heart. Guys, I don't often see things, but I see now, and I'm inviting you to see them as well. So many masters, so many beings kind of gathering outside the space that we're creating together. See if you can imagine this support. That makes it stronger too. So imagine that this transmission is putting you into the same world as the 12th dimension. And when we jump into that world, we don't have the right sensors because we've never been there before, but maybe there's a feeling of heat or expansiveness or well-being or trust or happiness, whatever it is for you. So honestly, please do that soul body fusion every day. Don't cheat yourself. I am astonished, and I've been doing soul body fusion for years, for more than a decade. So with this, I just really want to extend the invitation for you and any of your spiritual friends to consider joining us on June 26th as we begin this grand new adventure. I guess the Star Wars would say the final frontier of transcendence, of completion in this first class. And you all, to get ready, watch this video series, but for decades we've posted every course is 8-week class on Zoom on Mondays, and it's recorded so you can do it whenever it suits you. But we've always posted the first of the 8-week class for free on our website. So you can catch up if you feel the need to by listening to some of those free ones, or maybe even getting some of the last courses in the 11th dimension, which was Shambhala consciousness. But again, I say no experience is necessary. You don't have to know any of this. You don't even have to give a hoot what a dimension is. We need ordinary mortals who each carry your own field to join this field so it gets more robust, more strong, more alive. And the first class that starts on June 26th is called Transcendence Uncharted Realms. So you can ask me a lot about the 12th dimension. I can't tell you because the most I know is what I've told you. We don't know how it is and how Mark's going to teach it to us until we all get there. So Uncharted Realms, the first 8-week class is called Preparation, where we're working with our vibration. We're doing whatever is necessary to clear ourselves for this transcendent space. The second part, another 8-week class, is called Purification. So once there's some preparation, then there's really the purification. And the last 8-week class in Uncharted Realms is called Perspective, because our perspective absolutely begins to change from that born in linear, time-bound reality to something more akin to what a master would know. So these are the times you've been waiting for. These are the times that are why you got on a spiritual path. So please, let's join together and see what we can do to move into transcendence so everyone doesn't have to slog through the mud. We've built the stepping stones, and as we enter the completion, the birth canal, to a world that we can't even imagine. Because if we could imagine it, it would be based on our old principles, right? So I invite you to give up even thinking you know what to ask for. So it's really an honor to be a channel for Mark. Back in '89 when he first came, it's been quite a wild ride, and he told me he picked me because I was ordinary, and I'm glad of that. And it's really been an honor, a joy. I'm never bored with this, and it's wonderful to bring you all in. So I'll see you on June 26th as we begin Transcendence. Thank you.